Hello and welcome to the Writers Business School class, Introduction to Platform. It is the foundation of your business. I'm Rona Goffstein, one of the co-founders of the Writers Business School, and let me tell you, Platform is going to make your life, your business, this whole crazy process of selling your books to readers much easier. This is simply an introduction. Don't expect to have a completed, perfected platform by the end of this course, but it will set you on a path, and we hope you'll stay in touch with us if you have questions or need additional classes. So let's jump right into this. A lot of you may have seen the expression an author's platform out there, and this is a place where we at the Writers Business School differ a lot because we define it differently. Now, according to the dictionary, a platform is a raised level surface on which people or things can stand. The reason we use the word platform is because this is the surface on which your business can stand. It gives you an unshakable base, something you can always go back to, use, review, adjust, and grow from. It is incredibly powerful. Ultimately, it is, as it says here on the slide, who you are as a person and an author. And because of that, it becomes how you connect to your readers. One of the great things about platform is that when you get a clear platform, when you've developed this, building your business is going to be much easier, and believe it or not, it's going to be more fun. And that is one of our goals here at the Writers Business School, is to help you make this business process more fun, because I think that's one of the big reasons we have a tendency to shy away from it. All right, so let's jump in. Platform is how readers connect to you, and it becomes the way you reach your target audience. I'm going to go a little reverse on what we say here on the slide, and I'm going to tell you what it's not. It's not your social media and your internet presence. I've seen classes on the Develop Your Author platform, and what they're giving you is a social media plan. Those are different. Your platform is going to go well beyond your social media. Okay? It's not your brand. It's related to it, and as you can see from above, it informs your brand. But that's not what it is. It's not your advertising or your advertising budget. It's not your logo. One of the things I always show people, beautiful logos, great, but it really isn't going to connect readers to you. It does inform your brand, though. It informs your tagline and logo because it's part of who you are. You're going to want it to express yourself. It needs to be individual. It's going to be who you are, and I'm going to keep saying this all night long, and how you want to connect to your audience. Because of this, it informs your social media plan, and this can be any form of social media. It can be Facebook, which is obviously the most used, but it also includes, if you choose to do, Pinterest. And how do you decide whether to use these other ones? Facebook and Twitter, pretty obvious. Almost everybody's using those. But where do you go from there? Do you use Pinterest or Instagram or Snapchat or YouTube? One of the ways you can decide is by knowing your platform. That's the first step. I will get to that as we go on. So I hope that's intrigued you to keep listening. So tonight I'm going to cover the components that reveal your platform. We have 5, and I now have a bonus one that I've added, which I think actually makes it even more fun. And if you find yourself getting a little overwhelmed by the serious nature, because it's going to seem that way, of those components, hopefully this bonus 6th one will make it a little more fun. Okay, we're going to cover some of the key qualities you represent, the things that matter to you. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how you would then use these things to start creating your platform, and from that, taking the platform to discussing your core audience. So you create it, you find your core audience, and then you can use your platform in so many different ways so that you will never, ready? Never have to feel like you're selling again. All right, how many times have we all posted or seen posts from people buy my book? That makes a one-time sale. Platform creates a long-time reader. It's a much bigger option with much bigger results. So there you are, center stage there on the beautiful chair. Spotlight is on you. I want to remind everyone something we talk about a lot here. It's one of our core statistics. 80% of all purchases, and it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's something enormous like a house or a car, or something smaller like what to have for dessert, it's made emotionally. And supposedly the other 20% of purchases that are not made emotionally are logic that is trying to overcome emotion or something to that effect. It's actually kind of funny. Emotion comes in all the time. Your platform is going to begin to create that emotion. So 80% of purchases are made emotionally. You're going to want to reach people emotionally. Your platform is going to let your readers know who you are. Give them a way to connect to you and a reason to read everything you write. And when I say everything, I mean everything. I mean your blog posts. I mean your social media posts. I mean your Snapchat, whatever you're using. They're going to want to continue the connection because there's an emotion there. All right. This is one of my favorite things that I was taught about business. If who you are as a writer in this case makes them feel nothing, that is what they're going to buy. Now, when you've made a sale at through buy my book kind of thing, when you post on social media, chances are what they felt was either possibly intrigued, they were curious, or they could have felt pressured. Now they've made this sale. They have no reason to stay in touch with you. You have no way to be in touch with them, to follow up with them, because Amazon certainly isn't going to give you a list of everyone who bought your book. And a connection hasn't been made. There's no emotion, no lasting emotion. So that's what we're going to show you how to do with your platform. So, good news, platform is about writing. And creation. And it's creative. So let's get going. All right, the first overarching question I always ask people when I'm trying to get them to think for the first time about their platform is, what do you think the world could use more of? Now, of course, in my head, I'm singing Love, Sweet Love. And as you can see from the picture, we're always thinking world peace, which is very beauty pageant-y. I know that, the world needs world peace. But if you actually ever have watched or at any time watched a beauty pageant, the contestants do have a platform. It's actually the word they use. So-and-so, if she wins the title, will be going out and speaking on X. So world peace is obviously the classic one that everybody says. But, that's a little vague and not as specific to you and the emotions you want to create. So we always ask you, if you can't quite instantly come up with an answer, what do you stand for? What do you care most about? What is the change you'd like to see in the world? And again, so as not to take this as seriously as it sometimes sounds, what makes you laugh or smile or gets you totally jazzed? It's December. If you think it should be Christmas season the whole year round, that's great. Honestly, that could be your platform. And trust me, I'm not saying that that's how you will sell a book, okay? Your readers, it's not real. I will narrow that down for you, I promise. But trust me when I say, whatever you love, whatever you care most about, can be your platform or part of it. So if you think the world needs world peace, well, how would you get there? I mean, as I said, I'm sort of singing what the world needs now is love, sweet love. I write romance. I actually kind of think love is a big part of it. And I'll tell you more about my platform as we go along. So if I start with something, even love is pretty broad. It's going to be hard to just talk about love. So we're gonna narrow this down even more, all right? How about your favorite topic? When you're sitting around with friends, home, work, out with the girls, out with the guys, what is your favorite topic? What are the conversations always seem to end up circling back to? Now, I write not just romance, but erotic romance as Rachel Kenley, and I can tell you, yes, conversations around me do circle back to sex. It happens. Go figure. Occupational hazard, I tell people. Is there something people in your life come to you for? What do they come to you for? Is it advice on speaking in public, on taking care of dogs, on your great relationship with your spouse? Is it your grandmother's amazing pumpkin chocolate chip cookies? And yes, I say that because I'm craving them. A friend of mine makes them. They're amazing. The other thing is, if you can't kind of come up with a quick answer, where's your greatest knowledge? And we'll go into that one a little bit more. But sometimes that also becomes a great way to think about and find what your favorite topic is. So if you've got a piece of paper or if you have our free download, jot some of these things down. What's your favorite topic? I love this one. I'm such a dreamer. What would you do if you had no limits? And I mean no money limits, no time limits, no commitment limits. What would you just go hog wild and do? And what do you have a huge collection of because this is what you love? And I put it in secretly because, you know, maybe it's not something you admit or even realize it's there. My partner in crime here at the Writers Business School, Melissa, did not realize how many books on languages she had until we started sort of really breaking this down. And her platform is around communication. And yes, I have a lot of books on relationship, but I tend to write a lot of contemporaries, but I also write fantasy, so I have a lot of books on fairies and magic and wizards. And like I said, maybe cookbooks, comic books, records. And I do mean records for you young folks listening. Office supplies. Oh my God. Totally addicted to office supplies. So what do you wish you had unlimited time or money for? I put new technology there because that's one of mine. I'm a technology hound. I want the biggest and the best and the newest computers and phones and televisions. I love this stuff. Love it. And that also leads me to part of mine, which is I always like learning new things. So anything new, that kind of things. So let's look at those again and kind of give them a twist, which is what that final question is there for. What do these things represent to you? Okay, does travel represent freedom? Or do you think of it as something to do with a group? So it's social. Is this something fun? Or do cookbooks make you think of family and connection? Like I said, new technology for me is all about the learning, the something new, the access to more. I think it's one of the reasons I like fantasy and science fiction. Those are things I've never thought of and don't even exist, but now I'm thinking of them. So what would you do if you had no limits? Go wild. You'd hire a chef. You'd become a chef. You know, have chocolate every day. Have massages all the time. That one, by the way, is on my list, and self-care is part of the importance of self-care in being successful as part of my platform. So there you go. Believe it or not, wanting to have a massage can help you to see your platform. All right, for those of you who've seen Inside Out, this is the little guy who's fear. It's amazing what our fears can tell us. Start with the simple ones or the obvious ones. Clowns, heights, speaking in public, your in-laws. whatever it is. Maybe they're ones you've overcome. I have that here. Listen, which ones have you faced and conquered? Which ones still haunt you? Which ones have you never told anybody? What embarrasses you because of them? And I put this little hint down there because most of the folks here and listening are fiction authors. We do this for our characters, don't you? You know their greatest strengths and their greatest fears because it tells you something about them. Of course, in the book, they're going to have to face it. You know, that's part of the hell we put them through as writers. But knowing it about yourself can be very illuminating. And sometimes teaches you something about yourself that you value. In other words, if you're afraid of heights, I'm trying to think of a fear. I'm afraid of heights. I'm trying to think of how this fear translates. There have been times when for my kids, I've had to go up flights of stairs in things like water slide places and stuff. And I've come to understand where having a fear and having it hold you back are two different things. So for a lot of people, fear can be a very insightful tool, which is why we include it. All right, moving off of fear. How about pride? The things that like gave us joy and achievements. You know, it's amazing how hard it is for some of us to write 3 to 5 accomplishments that make us proud. And please don't forget writing your book, because I think statistics say that only 10% of people who say they want to write a book do write a book, and only 10% of those people finish the book. And the percentage of those who finish it and actually submit it, I'm sure, is tiny. So we're looking at a very small group of people, and this is an incredible achievement and commitment. But look at why you're proud of these moments. You know, what did it take to achieve them? For some people, the words that come to mind may be perseverance or self-discipline. For me, it had to do with putting my dreams first. A lot of my achievements, when I looked at them, they had to do with making a commitment to myself. And again, that is a huge part of my platform, is knowing who you are and going after what you most desire. So it's not just the achievements, it's the underlying qualities or characteristics. Why are you proud? What did it take to achieve? What did you have to sacrifice? You know, how many times did you say, no, I'm not going to go to the movies because I need to stay home and write my book? Or how many times were you an absolute zombie of a person at Thanksgiving because you'd been participating in National Novel Writing Month? These things didn't just happen. So take the time to look at some of the pieces that supported those accomplishments. Maybe it took finding a writing group and having an accountability person in your life. Maybe you discovered that doing things alone wasn't as satisfying as you thought, or as big a need as you thought. All right. So you're going to put them all together. All right, so I hope you've been jotting things down. You've got words, you've got phrases, you've got thoughts, you've got memories. Remember, what does the world need more of? What are some of your favorite topics? What would you buy or do more of if you could? What are your greatest fears? What are you most proud of? So starting to look at those lists, pull out the words, the phrases, the qualities, and add a couple of favorite words, by the way. I love words like abundance. I love the word embrace. I love the word passion. So if you have a few words that like jazz you, I know I used that expression before, but it's my new one for the night, write them down. There's a reason those words speak to you. There's a reason those words get an emotional response from you. And the things that you have an emotional response to will, of course, help you to connect to more people and get emotional responses from them and connections there as well. And if you feel you're ready, start to put some of this together in a paragraph. You want to keep it ultimately to no more than 3 sentences. You've heard me talking about the fact that I write romance. I strive for the happy endings. I do get asked a lot about romance, relationships, and sex. I've spoken on those at various conventions. It's very funny when you run into people who know you from things like that, and your husband's like, how do you know them? And you have to explain, well, I taught them about. But ultimately, the things that are my favorites and that people call me about, or what things that, here's one I didn't even put on the list. What do people buy you lots of? I have an enormous collection of stuff from The Wizard of Oz, and I buy that for myself, and other people buy it for me. Everybody knows that I love The Wizard of Oz. And in fact, I'm working on some books in regards to it. And my platform has a lot to do with, as I mentioned before, self-compassion, which is not something I grew up with. My greatest fear was always feeling exposed emotionally. It was a huge, huge fear of mine as a child. And of course, it became something that I developed walls around and survival instincts around. And then as an adult, stopped to realize, wow, I actually want to and love connecting emotionally, both with other people and more recently, my awareness of connecting with myself that way. So my platform as a writer is a lot around self-kindness and learning and living, here comes the Wizard of Oz phrase, your heart's desire. That's a huge thing in all my books. My heroes and my heroines are always trying to get clearer about and go after their heart's desire. Some of them don't start very clear. Some of them start extremely clear. My villains tend to start very clear about what they want. They don't get what they want. So here is my little bonus way of coming up with revealing yourself to yourself. All right? Check your social media. We reveal parts of ourselves all the time. We connect with people without realizing it. We do it very naturally all the time. And these days, we reveal quite a lot of it on social media. It used to be what happened in Vegas stays in Vegas. Now what happens in Vegas ends up on Instagram. But you can learn about yourself from this technique. It's actually a hoot. Figure out which of the platforms you use the most. My guess is going to be Facebook or Twitter. Look through, go to your page and look through 3 to 6 months of posts. All right, and then categorize them. So I posted about my family. Okay, so family gets a check mark. I posted a cute picture of cats. Okay, cute gets a post. I posted about writing. I posted about writing. I posted about the Wizard of Oz, because I do, actually. I posted about chocolate. I posted about being tired. Kind of look at your posts. How are you trying to connect to the people you know naturally? What are they posting on your page? I get a lot of shoes in addition to the Wizard of Oz. Rona saw this pair of shoes. Wouldn't you want it? And usually the answer is yes. If you are a fan of YouTube or Pinterest, what videos or boards do you follow? Look at, just kind of give them a glance. Do you see any similarities? Do you have any themes, topics, movies, comics, makeup? I love BuzzFeed. I love sort of that social commentary, which is basically about how we connect and how we're alike and those sorts of things. And also, if you happen to know, what websites do you regularly visit? If IMDb ever starts charging me per click, I'm going broke. I check that website at least twice a day, if not more, depending on what I'm doing. I love trivia. It's back to the loving learning. Maybe Snopes is one you're on a lot. Maybe it's just the news. Maybe it's a humor site. The Onion, The New Yorker, E! Online, whatever it is, ESPN. This is revealing something about you. Lord knows Google knows about it. All these search engines know a ton about us. So now you get to know about you. All right, so that's kind of a fun way, a little less serious. And it's okay because your platform does not need to be serious. It doesn't have to be world peace. Because what you're looking to do is connect. See, raving fans, screaming fans, Victoria's Secret fashion show, screaming fans. Your core audience are the people you're going to connect with through your platform. So my core audience includes people who love The Wizard of Oz. I can connect with them all the time, anytime. We have something in common, something that means something to us. I think people connect quite nicely over their morning cups of coffee. Who here is addicted to your morning cups of coffee? Millions and millions of people are. Your core readers are the people within the audience who read in the genre you write. So you ready? Audience is huge. The number of people who cannot live without their morning coffee. Okay, that's millions, millions and millions and millions of people in this country alone. Okay, now take that. How many people in that group, morning coffee lovers, do you think read what you like to write? It's a smaller number. Not every coffee lover, reads romance or reads horror or urban fantasy or mystery or young adult, but it's a big number. You wrote your books to connect with readers, not to sell to them. Once this enormous audience, and I'm not trying to tell you have to go out and reach every single coffee drinker out there, you don't. But once you've connected with an audience emotionally, and then naturally what you do and who you are and your books will come up, there's an emotional connection that already exists that's going to make the people who read the types of book you write go, oh, this is awesome. Here's the great thing about readers. They're always looking for new books. They're looking for you. They're looking for a connection. So again, your core audience are the people you're going to connect with through your platform, and your core readers are the people in the audience who read in the genre you write. This is about connection. Remember, 80% of the purchases are made emotionally. 2 side-by-side books. They recognize my name because they've seen me on the Wizard of Oz websites and postings and Facebook groups. They're going to choose me over the one person they don't know. They have a connection to me. And by the way, if they don't read romance, chances are they do know somebody who does, and they're happy to tell them about me. And this will happen to you as well. So here you go. How are you going to use your platform? Well, you're going to develop your platform, and then you're going to know kind of more about your target audience. I wrote market here, but your target audience. You're going to take it out into the world. See my duct tape? It's going to hold this all together. You're going to go to the places where people who feel the same way, like the same things, hang out. Every year I go to a Boston conference called Aresia, the sci-fi fantasy conference. I do not put my books on the table of the organization I belong to, Broad Universe. Because even though there are people who read romance there, my book's sitting there among more obvious fantasy and science fiction books, they don't stand out in a good way. They're kind of like, well, that's not what I read. But I sell books there every year. I have some with me. I bring QR codes so that people can scan them and go and buy the ebook if that's what they prefer. Because I make connections there. The people who love what I love, fantasy, romance, fairy tales, Disney, they're there. They're attending the panels I'm attending. They're attending the panels I'm on. And when we get to talking and I ask them what they do and what about their life and they find out what I do, they want my book or they want to tell somebody about my book. I don't have to sell a single one of them. It's amazing and awesome because I've created a connection. And please, your platform and your genre don't need to match because what links your platform and your books is you. Melissa and I have a very good friend her blog posts she realized that gets the most hits are not the ones about writing or some of the serious stuff that she puts out there. It's the ones she writes about the cooking experiments she does in her kitchen on the weekends and her dog's antics. So again, let's think of the number. How many people laugh and love their dogs and post pictures about them? And how many people are sort of weekend warriors in the kitchen, you know, trying to create something new? These are some big numbers. She writes some of the bloodiest, creepiest stuff I have ever read. I mean, she's put images in my mind I cannot get out. Now, you wouldn't think that cinnamon cookies and blood and gore go together, but they do. They go together in her. And I can tell you for a fact that there are people who love cookies and love horror. Big group of people love cookies, and a smaller group of people love horror. And the people who love cookies but don't love horror have friends who love horror. Again, she makes the emotional connection using what's already emotional for her. And I'm really hoping this is making sense. Okay, you make connections to other people based on what's already emotional and important to you. From that connection. This is not going to happen overnight, people. I'm sorry. I wish it did. I wish it was like a magic wand. You go, poof, I have a platform and I'm on the bestseller list. But it will create something lasting. It won't create a sudden shot up a bestseller list never to be repeated. You're going to end up with that. If any of you are campers or have a fireplace at home, you're ending up with this long, slow, intense burn that's not going out. With every release, with every new book, with every blog post, you are putting a piece of wood in there and it's burning on and on and on and warming and connecting. Platform is going to give you focus. One of the things people that, you know, we write and we write and we write. We don't have time for the business part. Let me tell you, platform will help you not do busy work that doesn't get you results. Okay? It's going to focus your brand and your marketing because you're not going to go places where you can't make a connection. And if you go places where you can't make a connection, I have volunteered at horror book readings. I don't really talk much about my books there. This is not where I can connect with people. That's okay. It helps focus your book launch, your reader stewardship. My readers love hearing about my newest, well, my audience loves hearing about the newest ridiculous Wizard of Oz toy that I suddenly found, that somebody got me. As much as they like hearing, maybe even more than they like hearing about the book that's coming out in 2 months. It's going to focus your publisher relationships because it's going to help them understand you and create a connection for you and maybe even think of places to send you that they wouldn't have otherwise. So, for example, I've gone to conferences where I've spoken about knowing and discovering your heart's desire. But it wasn't a book conference. It wasn't a writer's conference. It was just it was a conference for people who were just looking for some insight and for reconnection. I was the only fiction author there. I sold a ton. I was totally different. Wouldn't it be amazing to go to a book event? To go to an event and be the only author and not having to compete with anybody else for book sales? It's amazing. It's going to influence and inform your career decisions so they're in line with your voice. You're not going to get cute little swag that doesn't really connect you to your audience. That's not going to leave them with any kind of emotional pull or connection or influence. You're going to attract readers to your authentic self. And you'll have no selling required. Now, please remember, I've used the word ideal reader. This is like your closest few circles. These aren't the millions that are eventually the masses who will eventually see you because you're listed in the Oprah magazine and you're on Entertainment Weekly's Books to Read and stuff like that. These are those first close people. Those first thousands, I would say from the very beginning up until like 5,000. Between 5,000 and 8,000, if you can come up with an email list of 8,000 people, any New York house can turn you into a bestseller because they know how to do that. We can too, but I'm just saying this is how it's going to give you focus because you're going to connect with people naturally. And as I said, you don't have to sell because you're making a connection and an impact. You're not trying to sell a book. You're trying to make a connection. It's like recommending a movie. If you recommend a movie to somebody and they don't go see it, do you take it personally? Oh, I meet people at a conference and they don't want to buy my book, but I've made a connection. That's awesome. Richard Branson, founder of Virgin, the records books, airlines, whole bit. Above all, you want to create something you're proud of. This has always been my philosophy of business. I can honestly say I've never gone into any business purely to make money. If that is the sole motive, then I believe you are better off not doing it. I don't know of any writer who got into this business to make money. But we do dream of making enough money so that we are a full-time writer, so that writing income supports our life and our bills. And better yet, when that happens, it means our writing is reaching the people we want to impact with our characters and our stories and their journeys. And by the way, you can use Platform with your agents and publishers. Okay, imagine a letter that you send to an agent, or an email, I should say, that states, in addition to a strong Facebook presence, on Facebook and Goodreads, I have blogged on such and such a topic, that's your platform, and had guest posts on, which has received over a blank number of hits. So you've now told the editor and agent you have reach, understand platform, and how you connect with potential readers. Melissa put this in her author blueprint. They call it different things, author career trajectory to source books. And she got a call from the marketing department before she got a call from the editor, because she knew her platform. She was offered a 3-book contract because they knew that she could reach an audience that would read her books and create more audience, and so on and so forth. And this is true whether you're with a large house, an independent house, or self-publishing, especially if you're self-publishing. So many authors get tied up, will this book sell? Of course this book will sell. You just have to reach the right readers. And how do you reach them? You reach them through your platform. You find your audience, and in your audience you find your readers. So, I know I have just thrown a ton at you. I always am surprised that people don't go, oh yes, platform, I need this. And I understand that this is something people are, that here at the Writers Business School, we're trying to let you guys understand more about. Okay, it's a new way of thinking about your business, but I know personally I love it, and I've seen results from it because it comes so naturally once you kind of surrender to it or give into it or see that this is something that's been there all along. It's like your own backyard. Look, I'm back to the Wizard of Oz. I mean, seriously, who you are as a person influences how you dress. Have you ever looked at a person and know they just love hiking? Trust me, if you look at me, you're never going to think that. I should wear one of those shirts that says, if I'm running, you better run too, because it means we're under attack. You know? Women who love heels and women who hate heels, men who love ties and men who hate them. I'm serious, it's influenced your wardrobe, who you are. You can look at somebody. I'm not talking about stereotype, I'm not talking about profiling, I'm just saying who you are, how you feel about each other. Heck, my husband can probably tell how I feel about myself and my weight by what clothes I pick in the morning, okay? Who we are shows. We reveal ourselves. Now you want to use that intentionally. So Platform combines your favorite interests and passions with a way to give you a foundation for your business growth. And again, your core audience are the people who connect with your platform, and your core readers are the ones who read the types of books you write. You don't have to only be out there connecting to readers and wondering if you're going to make a sale. Connect to people. Connect based on what's important to you. And as you do this, and you've been doing it in a lot of ways, but now as you do it in such a way that you're applying it to your business, you're going to find that if you think about your platform, you'll know where you want to post, where you'd like to be a guest blogger, where you want to speak, how you want to reach your core audience. You're even going to know possibly more about what to blog on. You're not going to sit there going, okay, what can I blog on that will sell my books, that will make people look at my books, that will make people think about my books. No! Write a blog post that's going to make people laugh or cry or gasp or share. Emotions. Emotions, that's why the cat videos go viral. Seriously, look what's trending on YouTube. It's the funny, it's the sarcastic, it's the dramatic. It's the backyard scientist jumping into an entire pool filled with those little water beads. Seriously, if he wrote a book, you would not believe how many people would read it. Because they know him. He does the things in his backyard we all wish we could do in our backyard. Be you and let who you are connect with people, and you will naturally reach your readers. You won't be forcing things, and you won't be selling.